Streaming, start recording, start Twitch. Let's make sure. Does YouTube look good? Is it gonna be doing this thing where I need to restart stream? All right, let's go. It works. Okay, cool. Let's look at Twitch. Twitch now. Yes, you are active on Twitch. Very, very cool. I can go over here. Open up this. Move this over here. All right. Today. I don't name my Twitch titles. It's just yapping. But I do name my YouTube titles, which I think is funny because it is what's going to be on what is going to be on the VOD, and I don't really care for saving VODs on uh on Twitch. Mainly because I'm too lazy to try to figure that out. But yeah. So after last stream, I think it's really funny. No one's here yet. Um, yo, someone's actually here. That's crazy. It's really weird for people to actually be here. Normally I'm just schizophrenically talking to myself, which is really funny. I think the most streams I've been by myself, just talking to myself. Um, and which is it's really funny because like obviously when you're on the Twitch just chatting category, and you're just sitting there like chatting to nobody, it's like who are you chatting to? It's like no, I'm chatting to the voices in my head. But it was I think that after last stream and after like just like lazily editing these things together, making a video, didn't really get that many views. Did the voice? Yeah, they speak. They speak. They speak to me. They speak in general. Uh, it's great because it gives me people to talk to, which is great. You can never be lonely if your brain makes voices in your head. It's great. But after last one, swapping edit different parts together, and then making the YouTube Shorts, which I think is really funny, is the fact that on YouTube, the YouTube Shorts kind of did well, which is kind of weird. It like didn't do insanely well. More than anyone. That is true. Talking to the self is great because then you're in your own head. It depends. For some people, they find it to be a bad thing to talk to yourself just because they're more negative themselves. So like, Dr. Kid talks about the default mode network and it being a place where you observe yourself. And so with depression, it could be an overactive default mood network, and where that's where ketamine can be helpful, where it shuts off default mood network. But uh, the DMM, yeah, default mode network, DMN. But with the lost train of thought. But yeah, no. After the YouTube Shorts, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I gotta upload more. I gotta start clip farming. I gotta get on my grind. Start actually, like trying to make more content, trying to get people to see the streams, and instead of just zero viewer Andy, I can get people to do things. Which, so far, I think it's very obvious it has not worked. Other than like, there's obviously like friends joining or things like that. But other than that, it's like there has not been one rando from obviously mainly because like I haven't streamed, or this is the stream since uploading those clips. But is metal with League or metal metal is that a app specifically? It's a clipping software. Oh no, I don't. So when I stream, most of it is schizophrenic ranting. I do not clip a lot of games. Games are not my primary thing I do. Mainly because I suck at games. And I get too distracted, so I don't yap during the games. And so the way that I make content is I sit here and just let my brain just not shut the fuck up. Like in general, like it's one of the easiest places. When you're in a group of friends or people in a server, there is some kind of like ebb and flow you have to have to a conversation where it's like I have to let this person talk and I have to let this person talk and we have to do this thing. For me, I could just say shit and I don't need to worry about like being over abundant in a conversation, while in a stream there's no overabundance. I'm literally the only person here currently. And so in that sort of situation, um, don't really have to worry about any of that. But Yeah, I don't know. Because okay, random thing. Kind of going back to clipping and things like that, and YouTube and stream growth is that like, I think that like I've been trying to like uh observe the where the size of this channel can go based on what I'm currently doing, my current skill level, at being entertaining. So if I observe a couple of other people who do around the same thing, so you have people like Kredi, the VTuber. She is a lot of yapping. A lot of YouTuber or VTubers do this yapping same thing. Not a lot of um kind of like face cam YouTube streamers will do this style of content, which is interesting. Um, but let me think. But in that sort of sense, y- like I'm trying to think. Okay, compared to myself, she's definitely more funny. She's definitely more outgoing. She's also a little more extreme with the things she says. So clip farming is gonna be way easier with her. So her outreach is gonna be way higher. Her connectability is a bit higher. I'm a bit more monotoned, which doesn't help. But I think I have some elevated moments that can progress, um, like a viewership on YouTube. But other than that, compared to other people, it was really weird because I was watching when I was like editing. I was noticing my talking style is very much because even right now I'm like fidgeting, but like my talking style is very much like Destiny. Some of it sounded a little bit like I think it's Hank Green. I forget the one that had cancer. I don't know. I watch him every now and then. I don't know why I forget his name. But some of my talking style usually mimics some of the people I watch, which is interesting. Which is he was one of them. Destiny was one of them, which I haven't seen Destiny in a while. But like I mimic kind of this talking style. Um, a little bit you could tell as well. It's not very much like Mike Reeves, but like a little bit was a bit of that. But some of the more elevated moments were more like that. Um, but not too important. But but in that sort of sense, like where am I standing with my ability to be a content creator? Where do I think my cap lies? Current skill level, not getting any better, and depending on where naturally just getting better at what I do action wise. Um, but in that sort of sense, this also leads into like the topic of the conversation in a quick moment. But for content wise, I think I cap out around I don't think I can get to 100,000 subscribers at this skill level. I don't think I can get. I think I can get to maybe 1,000. As long as I keep clipping, as long as I keep trying to add long form content, as long as people like, continue to see it. Maybe it take me a while. Who knows? Um, but I think I cap it around that, like 1,000, 5,000 at the current skill level. I think that if I continue improving, engaging a little bit more, having more funny moments, kind of like the way Morse Critical does his streams, where he's not always up there. I think a lot of his popularity comes from his videos, obviously, but like his streams are also engaging enough to where you definitely notice it being fun. But it's not a when you watch a whole stream, it's not always up and up and up and up. It's not like people like Carly. She is constantly at the full throttle speed of conversation. Uh, and so maybe trying to mimic something like Moist Critical. I'm not sure if I can gain more energy. I do know I can keep yapping away and not have problems with that, but I don't know if what the general route of what I have to do is, but not too important. But going to skill level, this kind of comes in the conversation of um, getting better or competitive games. So one of my friends, Roy Darman, he might be joining here pretty soon. He kind of gave me the idea of like talking about competitive games, and like I just yap. I like when I find a topic I'm interested, I'll just say things. And so kind of going into before he gets here is going into like even when it comes to YouTube content creation, like there is different styles of content creation. There's people doing different things. So if you're somebody, if you're a pro gamer, you need to either so take people like Bunny Fufu. A lot of it, the content he made for a time was not necessarily trying to be a pro in a lot of different places. He was just trying to be entertaining. While when you look at a lot of YouTubers now, or some of the old ones, and still some of them now, a lot of it was trying to show you how to get better at the game. They're still trying to be entertaining because there is a buff to being entertaining. It's kind of like it's kind of like there's a buff to being um to being strong or working or doing weightlifting while doing other sports. So it's like maybe for playing basketball, you still benefit from weightlifting. In that sort of sense, being entertaining is still a big thing, but a lot of people didn't focus on that. Um, and so, like, there's different avenues. Obviously, there's different styles of content when it comes to like what you're doing. Some people do makeup. And so when you kind of look at makeup, like, what is that doing? When you look at some of the people who got really big, it wasn't just I'm doing makeup. It's I'm engaging in makeup. I do it pretty well, but I'm also entertaining in a sort of sense. So think like James Charles back when he before whatever happened. I don't feel like actually getting into what he did because I don't care enough to discuss it. I don't care enough to get into that side tangent. But in that sort of sense, he focused a lot on entertaining, focused a lot on his outreach, but instead of just the makeup, I think he kind of progressed outside of that just general area, which allowed him to get really big. While when you look at a couple of the other even like male makeup YouTubers, I don't think their reach is as big as his. I think that's just the product of him being more entertaining, the product of him trying to be more entertaining, which is just kind of like the route I want to go down. But reach, but having a dedicated audience. But it's a little bit weird. But in a sort of sense, people can have a skill level. When you start watching a lot of people uh, who are really big now, when you look at like Jacksepticeye's original streams or Crowley's debut stream or some of these other people, they're very different from the people who they are now. And in that sort of sense, sometimes you notice them being able to talk to the camera more, talk to the chat more, talk to these other people more, be more engaging, have more active moments, while other people in that sort of sense don't necessarily have that. Um, but I guess a self observation I make is that like I tend to be my brain tends to just run and try to be intellectual. While the problem is if I don't know what I'm talking about, it's just intellectual brain without anything. I did not know people joined. I think the hello. Yeah. Were you here when I introduced you a little bit or I kind of talked okay. Uh for context, I'm streaming for but I'm not saying to you, Darman, but I don't know if yeah. You know, can I use your real name, Kalu? Should I dox you? Should I dox you to the one YouTube viewer that I have currently? Um, oh, it's you. Oh, wow, it's crazy. Um, but But I was kind of like talking about just YouTube before we get into like the meat and potatoes of competitive games. I was talking about how like skill based in content creation and how like I'm trying to like estimate my maximum currently. I think my peak subscriber count, let's say on YouTube, can be between 1,000 to 5,000. Continue going like this as long as I continue to being able to um clip and do that for maybe months. But if I progress into becoming more entertaining, so either this is becoming more elevated with people like Crowley, or being able to have more funny, engaging moments like Moist Critical. So maybe again he's more monotone in a lot of his streams, but he still has his funny, engaging moments that he's able to take part of. But he does it more than I do. Some of the problems I was kind of like talking about was my problem with like the way I talk is very um intellectual like conversation. I think without the ability to maintain it with all facts, and that's kind of the problem, is that like if I have these intellectual conversations, if I seem like I'm smart, and without the actual context of the information, it kind of goes nowhere for maybe an audience that's looking for something like that type of information. But you can also take like the observation of people like Ellie Minibot, who she is clearly a smart person, but sometimes like a clips and there's things where she was talking about how she didn't want to be viewed as a certain way because she didn't want to let down people's views on her, and so it was kind of stressing her out. But it's not the most important there. But mhm. Yeah, Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that is really fair. You do need that semblance of ability to attach your own knowledge to kind of like I guess what would be the proper terms for it, but be able to like you have to have your own knowledge and experience to attach a sense of understanding when someone gives you something else. So like let's say you're obviously more experienced in magic than I am. And so when it comes down to it, if you explain certain topics, like let's say if we get into a little bit of layers. Layers is kind of is just kind of bullshit at a certain level where it's the card and the abilities say this, but because of layers it doesn't do that because of the fact that it changes these certain ways. And it's like it's kind of a BS interaction because the card reading the card should explain the card, but at a certain level, it actually really doesn't always play that manner. But mhm. Yeah, and so you have to get through that before anything can properly change. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. It is really weird. Because like, what's another thing that's really weird is that even players who understand, but kind of like players who are experienced just playing commander, the like holding priority, which is a really weird one. So it's like the fact that like okay, like obviously you can't take priority when someone plays land unless that land gives a like pops an ability off. So there's kind of like a nothing you can do that sort of circumstance. But getting priority when someone changes to combat is where you get that. And so it's a very like once you sort of kind of explain that to somebody, they need their own knowledge level of like that does like to, like if you tell that to somebody who's new at playing Magic, or even some people are literally like people who are little experienced who don't necessarily understand it, they'll get it after you explain a little bit. But people who are completely new to Magic, they'll be like, "What are you talking about? You don't get priority here, but you get priority here." Like there's kind of like this nothing state that exists because no proper abilities. There's nothing. The stack does not exist, and so like and it's like, but does changing steps? Yeah, yeah. But it's kind of funny. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of the topic of a competitive games. We're gonna dive into we're gonna we can dive into something else if you want later. But but I want to do it more by my headphones here. Let me. But yeah, so like for like competitive games, I think it's starting with like the personal experience. Is that what's really funny about it is seeing friends and seeing myself with my own like experience with competitive games. I've noticed that that it's a consuming thing for some people. I think for context, I have a friend who's challenger in League of Legends, and to say he has no bitches is an understatement. Like, like yeah, I just I'm being a little bit facetious, but like a lot of it is the way he dedicates himself to the game is a crazy amount, which I think which is really weird because you don't have to be no lifing a video game. Well, you do have to some level be no lifing a video game to get there. But one of my other friends, in Rocket League, he's almost SSL. Um, is this guy still in school, bro? I don't think we know. I don't think we know if this fellow is still in school. Um, but in this sort of kind of like looking at it, like one of the person who's in Grand Champ. grandmasters, whatever, in Rocket League, basically almost supersonic legend. He is he has way more social nature to him. He's still going to school. He's still active in those sort of sense, but he also hasn't hit SSL. He hasn't hit the cream of the crop when it comes to ranked. Um, I think that I talked to him a little bit about it. I think that there's some level of like him not wanting to actually know life it to get there, but in that sort of circumstance, the way I kind of see it is that like there is an ability to get outside of that, but kind of talking about I guess the different personalities is people's personality when going into it. I see a lot of people who are very dedicated to getting high level in ranked in these games. They tend to have um, an upset personality when they're playing the rank. They might be more relaxed when just talking casually friend wise. One of them definitely isn't the challenger, a little bit less so. But I'd say the fellow that in Rocket League I think he streams. His name is Stoic on stream. So Stoic Muffin. He's a very chill guy. I've not really seen him really rage, but other people I've noticed. Maybe it's just a league thing. Maybe no, it's not just a league thing. But it really does things to people. It either makes or breaks a person. You either become the Vel'Koz main that says never give up. I forget his name, or you become yeah, or you become a would Tyler one. Um, yeah, there's just a lot of people who just kind of get that level where it's like they get super upset. But I kind of just see it as a semblance of just like it's the want to get good without them being able to kind of differentiate their emotions. And so with a couple of people where it's like some people are not willing to play with you because like oh you're too low rank, you're too whatever. As you're playing with true moment. But some of these people are not willing to separate and calm themselves down, which it might be a part of why they get good at the game. Some people maybe are a little different. Like it also just depends on how people grow. Again, Stoic, what a chill guy. What a chill fella. He literally I think he definitely embodies the feeling of being Stoic when it comes to a lot of the friend things, friend like when we hang out, whatever. But when it comes to the way that he got good, I never really noticed him being like obviously like when you play a game and we dedicate your emotions to it, you're gonna get a little bit upset, which I think is a very fine thing to happen. I don't see him being somebody who is very hurt in comparison to other people. He's not trying to rage his teammates on purpose. He's a very kind and understanding fellow. But when it comes to some of these other people, it's like I've noticed they're a little bit more would it be not crude or crass? It might be. I don't remember the exact word. When it comes to like people not being good at league, um, yeah, they're a little more critical of their teammates, and it shows in a very sometimes demeaning way. It just depends on the person, but it doesn't show grace. Yeah, I've never done that. Never talked dog. Wait, we're not talking about me. No, the real, I don't know. I would say that like there's just more people who are just a little bit more dedicated to it, but kind of like stepping away from that like emotion sense. Do you want to make a comment first about the emotion thing? Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. How do I evolve from what I am? Yeah. I think so. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I was reading a comment, but yeah, it's like it. It's weird because I think what's hard about Tyler One is that a lot of because he's a streamer, him raging became part of his content, and so it's weird to see that, like if we take people who don't stream, which is kind of a good thing to talk about, is that like I think we do still see it. People still break their like people who or people who stream but are smaller content creators. Sometimes we see them rage. Sometimes we see them like and they're just not as funny. They're just not as popular. Their rage like actually is like concerning or like unhelpful. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder broken monitor. I wonder but but kind of going back into it, it's like that sort of rage, and the reason why I think it gets some people to be better is because they're so upset about the person, they're going to get better at spite, or they're going to play more because they're going to get a better spite. Like the emotions towards the game being negative is not a negative for themselves. They're not. It doesn't hurt their ability to come back to the game. It just makes them more engaged. Um, but I think what separates me was like when I would get upset in that sort of way, I just didn't like the game and I would just separate myself. But I've also separated myself from a lot of these competitive games for a vastly different group of reasons, but mainly taking too long, also me just anhedonic, lose like sense of just joy out of everything, and so it's hard to like play games that you're supposed to be consistent playing, and then you don't come back to it. But um, yeah, but yeah, it's not a. I wouldn't say it's a fully bad thing to rage at games. I would say that if it infects your life, which way some people will, it'll infect the way that they treat other people, or the way that they treat people infects their game playing, so they're willing to be rude or mean to other people is just because the fact that they are um like in video games just because that's the way they are in real life. But um I, I think I've kind of talked about this topic to the point where this part of the topic specifically. But do you have any more comments? Mhm. So I would say like if we look at the root of where some of the rage and because again some rage can be bad, some rage can be good, but if we look at the root and this is where a lot of it comes from is the emotional dedication to a game. So sometimes I remember so this kind of goes into my own experience when I played Halo and I played ranked. I remember this like it doesn't leave me. It's been like 3 years and this guy being so upset about the fact that I wasn't playing to his playstyle. He was somebody who rush in. I was somebody who liked to take picks. I'm like, hey, I'm not like hey, I'm playing keyboard and mouse. That's great for headshotting. I don't have the confidence. I don't think I can walk into an open area and just be able to think just be able to like predict where people are going to be and have the knowledge to where you're pointing that direction, I'm going to point a different direction to where somebody's going to be. And so, but in that sort of sense, he was getting very, very upset. Um, in that sort of sense. So his upset nature was like he was clearly seeing somebody who wasn't I wasn't bad at the game. I definitely could kill and I get decent amount of kills. I just was not playing up to his expectations. Which he probably was so like I didn't rank up to the highest rank I could probably get in Halo. I just kind of stopped playing. But his rage was coming from he wasn't too upset, but he was definitely insulting me, and you could tell that there was a little bit of that rage there, which is really weird because it infected me to where like I was getting upset because like the problem that I was having was the emotions there being like I'm trying my best and I see what you're doing as you're throwing the game. Both of our perspectives could be correct. Both of our perspectives could be incorrect. Maybe one person is more correct than the other person. We don't really know. You are not. Um, you're not like I forget the highest rank Onyx or whatever in not Onyx whatever the highest rank is in Halo. You're not the highest rank. You're not in a professional like place. You just know that your playstyle can work effective. And the thing is, I know my playstyle can work effective. We're both in the same rank. We're both progressing around the same speed. We both can see that progression. There is some level of equal opinion that we have when it comes to not knowing the truth. So it's stupid to bring Schrodinger's cat because that's a physics thing, but when it comes to a philosophical thing, it's Schrodinger's cat because neither of us are high enough knowledge to know the proper way of getting things done. We can only play to our strengths and assume the understanding we can give towards what we might think it is. So we're both incorrect and correct at the same exact time. And so the problem is, I think this is what I've noticed is this is why I try to like not rage in video games is to let it go, saying like, hey, he knows his way of playing works. Maybe it works against a certain group of people. Maybe my way works against another group of people. Maybe it's just not the playset for who we're going against. Maybe the other people are too aggressive for my playstyle, or maybe they're too aggressive for his place. I don't really know. I haven't played in a while, so I wouldn't really be able to look at the situation and understand who is in the wrong, who's in the right. Again, because we're the same rank. If I understood, I'd probably be high rank. But in that sort of circumstance, that rage kind of comes from for his came from just sense of just wanting to, like to do well. Some of it also anger. Like some people are a bit more sensitive to anger, which again is not a bad thing. Being sensitive to emotion isn't a bad thing. It's just like what it leads your actions to do is when it becomes the problem. So when people like the person who's challenger in the friend group, he sometimes will run it down, and sometimes, as in quite often, when he's not doing well, he will run it down, and he'll blame the other players on his team, and it's hard to see that when it's like it's you aren't fully incorrect because like he's definitely knowledgeable of the game, but the thing is that just because you are incorrect in your assumptions, maybe they're not playing as well, does not mean that you should degrade your playing. But that's also like an emotional control thing. I think that if he learned to be more emotionally controlled, I think he would like he's already again challenged. He's already at the peak of gameplay. I think that if you learn to calm his mind and be able to kind of like what is it, Bruce Lee, like flow like water. So in the flow state where sure your teammates might be throwing, but that doesn't mean you lose the game. As long as you can play as optimally as possible, maybe you get a comeback. Maybe the enemy team throws. It happens all the time. And so like that's how like you like that's one of the easiest ways to rank up is that like if you're able to play the game, do as well as possible. But hey, if like one of the more consistent ways of ranking up, and this is a theoretical, not necessarily specific. It's not like I have this experience, but if you're able to be as consistent as possible, be like, okay, I didn't do well, landing phase, or I didn't do well at the beginning phase, or whatever. I can move into this transition into being as consistent. So I don't try to feed kills. I try to maintain my position. I try to get good vision. I try to assist my teammates where I can, and I think that will allow you to rank up a bit quicker than like because he would go from grandmaster to like a diamond because of how much he would rage. Yeah. He would kind of go like he's still staying at challenger, but he would go from these different positions. And when you kind of see someone go down and up like that, you can tell part of it's the mentality is like if he can stay consistent, if he could calm himself and say, "All right, just go back to the fundamentals, go back to doing what I know what to do," or things like that. It'd be a different like I think it'd be different. Again, I could be wrong. I'm not at his level of gameplay. I'm just kind of assuming from my observations of some of my. Mhm, mhm. Yeah, you start to fumble in that sort of like way where it's like I've also kind of going more into that. I've noticed that when people start when they like how you said, I think it's a great one. When you start losing control, like the agency, when you start you losing agency, it's hard because like you notice that like my jungler could have ganked me. Like if you're top or mid, like my jungler could have ganked me, or my support Sirach could have pressed R, even though like maybe they're yeah, like in these sort of situations, it's difficult because um like they start to lose their agency and they start to flame their teammates, which then doesn't help. But even without the flaming the teammates part, it's they start to give up their ability to try to stay consistent, and which is I'm gonna hate doing this because I do this way too much. But it kind of gets into how much agency do you really have over every like every moment, and so building a ability to be consistent is an important thing. So a lot of like people like one of my friends he would say he's like I know what I need to do, I just don't do it. Which is kind of a very funny thing. He's like I know I should free the ways here, but I'm just gonna not do it. And then he's like I know I shouldn't dive under tower, but he just does it. He just continues to do it. But in that sort of way, yeah. Well, I guess it was. I have not read the Bible in so long. I did not. I would have not remembered that. But I was yeah. Yeah, in that sort of way, yeah. It's like you don't like I forget, it's really weird because I do remember the part of the Bible where it's talking about how like kind of like where sinning it kind of like the pastor like segregated. It might have been Paul who said, "I do not want to do what I am doing." So when you're sinning and when you go to heaven, it isn't about all of a sudden becoming the perfect person. It is about trying to transition, not trying to stay in the sin. It's about transitioning into outside that sin. And so like demonizing your sin allows you to start to transition outside of that. So saying that I don't like doing, let's say someone like gluttony, stealing, or whatever. I don't like doing these things, and so it allows you to try to transition the way you have your mindset. But it's not too important. I probably is Paul, but when I kind of think about in the action of the game, there's a lot of things that are happening in the game that you can't be aware of. So this is kind of like in chess. Like the why do AI in chess do so well? It's because they can see every single move that's possible. Because like when you can see every move that is theoretically possible, both on your end and the enemy's end, and you can play out the game faster than a human can, and like if a human were to look at every single chess piece and look at the board state and be able to try to like do that, calculate everything, it'd take them way too long and way too much mental effort. It would be okay. This pawn can move here. This knight can move here. If this knight moves here, then 3 moves from now can this happen. But then like whatever, like there is not a like possible way for us to do that. And so we have to rely on instinct. And so it's funny when you look at a lot of gamers kind of talk about like when they get good at games, it's like I just did it out of instinct. And so it's building the instinct is what's important. But a lot of these people, what they do is when they rage, they lose that sense of the instinct. They just get upset. They lose their sense of agency, which is a really big one. So which is really weird. So when we look at like people with a external locus of control, so their life is controlled by the outside circumstances. When they believe themselves to have an external locus of control, so they don't control their lives, they tend to seemingly out of our best way to explain it is have less control. While if you have an internal locus control, assuming you do have control, you seem to have more control. But that could be a chicken and the egg. That could be the fact that like if you align yourself with what you want instead of aligning yourself with like or align yourself with what you can do as what you want. So if so this is kind of a funny kind of a thing I've been telling myself because I've been getting the quote wrong. So you know the whole daddy gets what daddy wants. I've been kind of saying it wrong. I've said daddy wants what daddy gets. And which is again a stupid thing, but if we think about it, it's oddly profound because like if you want to be completely successful, want everything is coming your way. Do you want to be successful? Then wanting like if you're bad at a game, oh, because I think about people do this all the time, where when someone's bad at the game, oh, I was just throwing. oh, I was just messing around, or I was drunk, or I was doing these other things. And so it's like they are literally signing themselves up to get what they want, which is not to say a good thing to do, but if you want to get everything you ever want, is you want everything that comes your way. And so, good or bad. And so, if it's not to say a good mentality to have, but it's a mentality that people assume. But when it comes to, let's say, if they're doing bad, like, oh, I actually was throwing this whole time. They're mostly when they're lying to themselves. So it's not really true. What they like, they don't truly get what they want. But in a sort of circumstance, kind of going back to like the League of Legends playing, or even just like in general, just like ranked play or professional play, at a certain point in time, if you believe that it's your teammates' fault, that you've lost your agency from there, you're going to lose more agency. You're going to feel more in the passenger seat of the car. And whether or not scientifically that is correct or incorrect, whether or not you actually are, like, because, like, again, current science, we can kind of assume that it is, we kind of look at it being like current theory, no free will. For some specific science. So like the paper on being like you can predict someone's action 11 seconds before. This was a pretty recent one. It might have been 2018 for the study. I don't exactly remember. Studies have been going back to I believe 80s or 90s for that one. But in studies and restudies of it, so people trying to reprove it or disprove it, whatever. But in that sort of sense, like it's not like the most foundational of it. If it was, and then we would all be like, "There's no free will." But like, it's enough to show us to indicate that like there is less free will than we assume to have. But in that sort of sense, like if you assume that you have less agency, though, like even though you might have zero agency, you might never control a single ounce of action you do in your life. But potentially the assumption that like you do might give you more ability, might make it where your actions align with more of your wants. And so, because like again, if we take outside the agency, it's like your actions might align with more what you want if you assume you have agency. But which wouldn't mean you do have agency, it just means your actions align with what you want to, like with what you want or what you. But that also aligns with like wanting being like some people like want some things, but it doesn't mean that they are going to um admit that. So some people will get themselves in a very negative situation, and they will feed into it because they want this. Like in the heart of hearts, they want it. So some people who have low self esteem, they'll sometimes put themselves in certain positions to where people will affirm that low self esteem. It doesn't happen all the time, but they do it because they want it subconsciously. Because the thing is that like if someone says you're good looking or you're smart, or whatever, and what if that person's lying to you? But if someone tells you what you already feel, what's up? Yeah, you, you are smart, big brain. But but in that sort of position, a lot of people are wanting to get a negative validation feedback of like, hey, this happens a lot of time with a lot of people. Sometimes they're so like when it comes to people with would it be anxious attachment or avoidant attachment would be probably the best one to look at. Where sometimes, and if we look at people who are more intense, they'll look at the situation being like, oh, I want to connect to this person, but maybe some of the fears I have leads me to push them away. Um, and so because they're afraid of certain things, and so they want to push people away. It's not like so they don't want to push people away on their emotional side that it hurts them, but they want to push people away on a subconscious level because it protects them from being hurt even more. Even though they're hurting themselves, maybe it hurts them less, maybe it hurts them more. They feel more afraid of getting too connected and then getting hurt. Whether or not it will actually hurt them more or not is not the important thing. It's about the fact that they're more afraid of what they don't have or what might happen versus what they can control. So if you get somebody to hate you and stop being friends with you, stop dating you, stop doing whatever, stop engaging with you. If you can get somebody to do that, then it's not my like if I purposely do things, it's not my fault. There was a when I was in eighth grade, it reminds me of this kid very specifically. As soon as I saw him, as soon as I interacted with him, I kind of knew. So I was in choir, and the sixth grader, the choir was just kind of the class you just do so you can just get a grade, and the sixth grader was kind of in there, And oh, there's one sixth grader who's in there, and she was kind of talking about this, a fellow sixth grader, and I was kind of thinking about myself like, oh, it's not too nice. And then you meet him, and I wouldn't say that like he was bullied, but I definitely he was pushing as many buttons to be as annoying as possible. It wasn't just a I'm genuine, I'm being genuine, and people don't like me being genuine. That happens to people. Sometimes people don't like sometimes being cringe happens. Sometimes like when I was in middle school, I was cringe. I was just like didn't understand just straight up autism. Didn't get it. Him, you felt this this just urge to be more annoying so that he wouldn't be judged. I could be wrong in the situation, but like just the way he expressed himself in an annoying way. But I will say it's hard because like I hope he's doing well now. I hope that it has not led his life into becoming more sad and disconnected from people, because trying to get people to move away from you because of the fact that you're afraid of like people learning who you are is scary. um like it's just gonna make more people move away from you, and you're not gonna be able to learn how to be. You're not gonna learn that sometimes people are not gonna like you. Like you can optimize, you can sacrifice. It's funny because I'm getting really off topic, but I'm going to continue off this for a second. But sometimes you can sacrifice parts of yourself that are okay. So sometimes in certain circumstances, I'm yapping. I've been yapping for like 45 minutes, almost straight. Like there's been almost no time for me to breathe. But when it comes to different circumstances, I still do this. I'm so bad at it, but there's some level of like, okay, maybe I should shut up. Maybe I should move back. I'm still bad at it, but there's some level of like, if I want to improve, kind of the quality of a conversation with some people, I might want to step back and let other people talk, or even let some silence, because like people enjoy sometimes having background noise, but sometimes like some silence might be nice of like, hey, I'm playing a game or doing whatever, let me focus, whatever. But like there's some sacrifice that you can give towards a situation, and it's like I'm not going to sacrifice completely not speaking out. I'm not going to be like, all right, because my friends or people I talk to don't like how much I talk, I'm just going to not talk at all. Um, I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of that, kind of like a little bit of like, okay, I'll talk a little bit less. And so I hope that like he has learned to like realize that like, hey, some part of your personality people are not gonna like. So figure out what you're willing to sacrifice, what is okay for you to sacrifice. Like some people are so desperate for friends, they're gonna sacrifice everything, money, um, whatever, just so that they maintain friends. Money, time, yeah, yeah. You go on, yep. Hmm. 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 They're busy acquiescing to fit in, or to be they're busy doing that, and like I do see what you're talking about, where like that sacrifice leads to the point of where like now if they're left with nothing, it's like, well, I gave everything to this, who am I now? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's also not giving this room to grow as well. Um, like this is kind of a really weird idea that I don't know how true it is, but there's probably some truth to it. Is there so in a lot of friend groups sometimes there is the guy you bully. I think in guy friend groups is kind of the way kind of that way, and it's usually. Mhm. uh, of course I know. Looks in the mirror. It's me. But it's really weird because like sometimes like because some people will push that to the boundaries, and oftentimes like having somebody to be a punching bag in a can be a positive thing where it's just more of like it's just a joke. As long as we all assume and treat it as a joke, and as long as we make sure, hey, are you okay with this? Like it's fun to make these jokes. It's fun to like kind of like do this, but as long as we're not like kind of like pushing you to those boundaries. And I think one of my friends, it was funny in high school. Uh, he's my really good friend, and it's just really good because he was that person, and so we still kind of like treat him in that sort of way. And there's times where he's gone a bit more. Um, I want to use the words from the stream as peeved. He's gotten a little more annoyed with some of the jokes, and it's like I think it's perfectly fine. I think it gives us this ability to say, okay, we're gonna back off from maybe the style of jokes or maybe as much because like we don't want to kind of put you in that position. But what it happens a lot is a lot of groups might end up pushing the kind of the punching bag to where they don't get to grow themselves. So it's like maybe it's like we they don't let them form their own identity in the friend group. And so I think that like we've done that with our friend. We haven't done that. Or we've done well to avoid that, I should say. We're trying to make sure that like he's not just like a kicking bag and just like all right, you don't get to form your own identity. You're just the kicking bag, or just the punching bag, the kicking bag. Uh, um, you can, but like I mean, you can kick me, but um, I mean. Like with tongue or without tongue. But mhm. It's funny because uh, it's funny because I do I probably do the same thing. Like I told him I'm not gonna back down. I'm not gonna back down. If you don't back away, I don't back away. I'm just warning you before this happens, 'cause I will not back away. We end up kissing. Exactly. Um, or somebody who's straight apparently. But but um, yeah. So in that sort of circumstance, like I think giving the ability to people to grow. So it's kind of like it's kind of like an enzyme. Like if you don't have enzymes in the body, some reactions might take a while for them to happen, or sometimes they won't happen unless you have that enzyme uh, uh, catalyzing the said reaction. And so when it comes to a lot of people's personalities, it's sometimes like some people some people are going into the situation more freeform, where they're just like they don't really know their own boundaries. They don't have their own solid version of themselves just yet. And so they just kind of go into interactions and deal with people, and they're just like, okay. While other people who don't who still have those boundaries, who are willing to push them, and so it's different for some people. So if you don't have those boundaries yet, if you don't know what how you want to live your life or how you want to interact with people yet, being able to give that person space so that like they can grow, or being an enzyme, so being able to like, or themselves need to also involve an enzyme, or involve a catalyst so themselves can grow. And so that catalyst could be taking time to see with yourself, or speaking to yourself, or therapy, whatever. It can be a catalyst so you can figure out your own boundaries. But it's just the way that I've noticed that some people will work in certain friend groups, and I think that like it's always good to allow that level of growth and ability. um, but some friend groups are more or less indicative of being able to allow that to happen. Some people in the friend group might be more, some people in the friend group might be less, but it's usually most groups who are like keeping people down usually doesn't have one person be like, wow, I want to really want to help this guy, and then everyone else like just kicks the shit out of them. Usually it's like those people already leave the friend group is what my guess, but mhm. More positive and memorable. It happens and actually was really weird in both Halo and in Rocket League, which is really funny. And this was kind of like specifically in Rocket League was it was really weird because like I talked about the negative circumstance of like how like he made me upset, whereas like he was like getting mad at me for not doing the right thing. I was getting annoyed. I was like are you serious? Like are you not trying to understand where my perspectives, like if I'm not doing what you want me to do even after you ask, there's a reason. And so I got upset at that point in time, but it's actually really funny because we ended up playing two games together, and after that happened, I actually like in the second game I was like, hey, let me understand him. If he can't understand me, let me understand him. And I think that that was a positive experience because like Halo is a very much a team game. You sure if you're Diamond or Onyx, you can solo plats as long as you're like you have good aim, you know what you're doing, good positioning, whatever. You can do that. But Diamond versus like if you have a you can't solo three onyxes or three diamonds as an onyx in a lot of circumstances. It's not you can't, because as long as those diamonds, and obviously if they're diamond, they know, hey, we need to gang up on this guy. You 2v1s are very difficult in Halo. Usually the way people win 2v1s is either they're going against people who are really bad, disorganized, or they're staggered enough to where it's like, I kill this guy, this other guy joined in too late, and then I was able to kill this other guy because whatever. But usually it doesn't happen like that. Usually you have to stagger them to where, like when I've gotten a overkill in Halo, it was because of the fact that it was I was staggering them. I was keeping my position, staggering them. But kind of going into why some of the negative experience was also positive was when I started playing Rocket League. because there's a mentality of I want to be good at something. I have that like classic autism grind set. Small side tangent. I don't want to get into for too long, or I'm going to waste a bunch of time. Which, you know, I've been here for like an hour yet, and I've already wasted a bunch of time. And thank you for bringing me back on topic. But in that sort of sense, like the autism grind set. I remember Dr. K talking about. I remember I was driving home from school, had my phone connected to the stereo of my car, and I was listening to Dr. K. He was like talking. I was like, sometimes people with this grind set are autistic, and I'm like, wow, maybe I'm like that because like I've had this sense of like Rocket League to like I want to get good. Why? Because I want to show that grind. I want to just like I wanted to do the effort, even though I didn't end up doing it very much. I did a little bit. Um, and at a certain point in time, I was getting that grind, so I was doing as much as possible. And one pro player named Flakes, he was like, play ones. And ones in Rocket League are infuriating because your failures you can't blame on your teammates. Like you go for a goal in the game, you miss the ball, they score. And it's like your failures are maximized to the highest level. That happens a lot in a lot of fighting games as well. But when I was playing ones, it was brutal because I would get upset. I would be like, "This is really annoying. This is pissing me off." And like oftentimes in ones, a lot of times people will quit before they lose, and even if they have a chance of winning, they'll quit. This happened. This is kind of like why people rank up in such a weird way. Is I've played against this one guy who was a freestyler in Rocket League, and he was like doing a bunch of like air tricks. But at that point in time, I had practiced a lot of defense skills because I really loved defense. And this guy had the hardest time because he wasn't particularly good at the positioning and gaming and trying to get the ball past me in that sort of like 1v1 skill. He was good at getting the ball for aerials and he can even air dribble. While I didn't have any close ability to air dribble. I didn't have the abilities to flick the way he did. I had the abilities to know that like he was overstepping his boundaries in ones. He shouldn't have been doing the things he'd been doing. And he quit. I scored like two, and he still had more. He I think had like five or whatever, and I still scored two. And because I was able to get past him, he got upset and quit. He got mad. It was because of the fact that like he should have easily dominated me with his skill difference. He should have easily like when the fact that like he was doing air dribbles and the flicks he was doing, he should have absolutely dominated me more than he was. But because I was able to like hold my own a little bit, he got upset. But that kind of told me that like playing those ones kind of taught me to be slower. Just don't like rage. Playing the Halo game, it's understanding that like raging doesn't help. When in ones, you make more rash. It kind of goes back to in the emotional things. You make more rash decisions. Like, oh, I made a dumb mistake. You basically do the same thing over. You're running it down, the same thing over and over and over again. So it's about like calming down. I think the next positive experience was how much I don't care about some of these ranked games. I remember playing a little bit of Rocket League, and one day I just was like, I don't care. Do I really want to get like higher? I ended up being almost diamond. I got to like high plat or whatever, maybe like middle plat. I don't really remember too well. And I was like, do I really care? Because the amount of time it takes is a lot of dedication. And I think that it taught me a lesson in find what you care about and understand it's gonna take dedication. And it's kind of like when it comes down to like Rocket League, I didn't care. Like it was a fun game for a time, but I really didn't care. I just wanted to grind for the sake of grinding. I wanted to get good for the sake of getting good. I did this in Brawlhalla. I did this in Halo. I did this in League of Legends. I've done this in so many different games, and every single time I've learned like, do I really care about the game? Like I don't care about getting good, and I think that's what led me to where I find things I actually do care about. Like Japanese, I put like still I'm dog shit Japanese, but I still put in consistently more hours in like Japanese, and I feel more stable where I am in Japanese than any other kind of like competitive game I've tried to do. So obviously Japanese is not a competitive game, but like I feel that even though I haven't progressed, I don't because again there's not a ranking system. It's not like I can see I'm above average. I'm plat or I'm emerald. There's not a ranking system I get to see. I don't get to see actually I'm doing better than I really am. It's all based on personal experience, and so I don't get to gloat, and so because again I can't really speak or understand. It's like it's a very low level, but like I could be higher than I really assume. But even then, I still feel very happy with where I am. Same thing happens with a lot of my other things I've enjoyed. Some of my own personal things, working out. I'm not super like I would say I work casually. I just been working out for years, and so even me working out casually for years gives me an advantage. I do have a little bit of genetic advantage, probably my my catabolism is very high. So when I catabolize the food, I'm not going to get heavy. It's an advantage disadvantage. So when it comes down to it, like it's harder for me to bulk, but it is easier for me to stay skinny. So like I have that advantage. But in sort of sense, like I casually do it. I feel like I'm in good position when it comes to my understanding of people. Like I wanted to understand people from a personal perspective because like I never in middle school never understood people that make any sense, and so I went on this journey to understand people. And do I think I'm the best of the best? No, I think I'm good. I think I'm enjoying even if I'm worse, even if Dunning Kruger sticks his cock in my mouth and says, "Hey, you're actually worse." Like, hey, you're like Dunning and Kruger because it's two different people. But, hey, man, like I I could push something else. Um, but but in random side tangent, do you know the prostate is not the male G spot? Um, or supposedly isn't. Yeah, but but kind of going back into like Dunning Kruger, like if they told me like, hey, you're dumb, you actually know a lot less than you think you do. I still think I would be happy with the idea that how far I've come. Because like I put the amount of effort, and this is kind of when I went into the amount of effort I put in, the amount of things I do is enjoyable because it's like, hey, maybe I am dog shit. Maybe I am like kind of like older sibling gives me the controller and I think I'm doing better than I am. Hey, but at least I put the effort into just like to try to get better. It still sucks to know that like, hey, nothing you've done gets you to where you want to be, but I still think that like, hey, I at least put effort in. I at least had fun with the effort. Kind of. Some wasn't so fun. Some was actually fun. Don't look at this 2 liter of Dr. K. I just took a sip of. I, dude, I love 2 liters, man. Great. My nose is so runny. I can spit in your mouth. Um, Okay, real thing that happened, and it was recent technically, was there was not enough cups. There just wasn't enough cups. And one of my friends he was like, I'm gonna drink some, and I said, hey, you know what? Go ahead. But at least spit into my mouth. He did. Yeah. It was amazing. Disgusting. I'm not too sure. I don't know. It's great decision making skills. Yeah, I will say I do know why people are why people think that like maybe even in your 20s you shouldn't have opinions because like it's fucking stupid. But like man, I dumb action but great. You know what? I would not trade that experience for anything else because of how funny. I me I'll say I do it for the bit, but maybe I didn't. I do it for the love of the sport. I kiss men for the love of the sport. But we are not the same. Um, but yeah, so it's yeah, I lost wherever I was going. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it's actually really interesting because like I've like at this moment, and I could change my mind. At this moment, I wouldn't come back to a video game to get better. When it comes to ranked, I don't think I would ever kind of step back on the league and just, be like, all right, let's dust off the old QWSD or whatever, QWER or whatever, just so I could play league. Let me get good at the game. Like I'll play it, but I don't think I'm ever gonna try to, grind the way like it's really fun because I didn't dedicate myself as much, in league as much as I did other games, which is kind of funny. But I think that when it comes to other things, I've definitely given up on some things and then kind of come back to it. Japanese was for a time, it's like, this is hopeless. I'm going nowhere. Um, I know nothing. But even now, I'm still not grinding as much as I want to. But I still like, hey, I'm going to go watch anime without subtitles. I'm going to watch Japanese YouTube videos without subtitles because, like, hey, even though it's a drop in the bucket, it is less of a drop in the bucket. It is a drop in the an Olympic sized pool of ability where it's like it will mean nothing if I don't continue on. But and currently it means nothing. But because of the fact that it's the heart I put into it, it's like, hey, you know what? It means nothing. Dedicated to it because I like Japanese. Um, I'm willing to come back to things like that. I realized that video games, like games I'm willing to come back to get good at, are not competitive games, which is actually really funny. I think the one game like Deep Rock Galactic is just like it's such a different game for PvE games or even what is it? It's Helldivers, is that like they're both like not like you can get good at both of those games, and they kind of mean different things. I really don't like PvP style games, mainly because I'm usually worse, and so like if I show that I'm bad, then it makes me feel bad. But it's also a bunch of other reasons, but that's a big one. Um, but Deep Rock Galactic, it's like they added Hazard 5 Plus. You can add different things for Hazard 5. I mainly play Hazard 4. Hazard 5 has been a bit more. I played Hazard 3 for a while and then started playing Hazard 4 because I got too used to Hazard 3. And so it's like if I can come back to it, be like, oh, let's grind, let's get good. It's like I would love to be able because the flow state of when you get in that game, and I remember this one like run I did, I guess. We were, I think, his group of us with his group of randos, um, and we were running out of ammo. It was a dreadnought mission, and like dreadnought missions are bosses, two bosses. Usually fight two bosses, I believe, and we ran out of ammo. And so it became this cat and mouse game of one guy would get downed, we got to revive that guy, we got to run, we got to make this, we got to be moving as much as possible so that we don't like both like too many people die at once. And so at a certain point in time, I was able to like get one guy up and just search for the nitra for getting more ammo. So you had to get the resource nitra to then call down a ammo supply. And I remember doing that, and we won. And it felt so crazy because it was like it wasn't like even some people were putting more effort. Some people were better at the game than other people, but like it didn't matter because it wasn't if we lost, like there's times I've lost and had that flow state, it was so fun. But in that sort of situation, it was like we, no matter how good or bad we were doing, we were almost like a dwarf brotherhood. It was rock and stone, like if you don't rock and stone, you don't come home, and it really felt like that. Whereas like we're just in the flow state of just difficulty, and so I think it's fun to like play games like that. But I don't think I would ever get myself back into video games. I think that like I think that part of the problem with that is um, I've been trying to get the usefulness of hobbies. When I played League of Legends, there was a time where I wanted to get good at League of Legends so I could become a League of Legends streamer so I can get money from that, whatever. There was a time, like, it reminds me when I started to draw, I wanted to get good at drawing so I could work for the job. A lot of what I'm doing is kind of job security, and it makes me hate what I do for sometimes. And so like um while doing some things for job security or like or not even it's not even job secure but doing things to maybe have a job out of it isn't a bad thing. It just I don't want to do it for video games. I do not want to do it for video games. I'm willing to do it for some things. I think it's also finding a balance. I think that I overstress myself to do this. Like when I was doing art, it was I was doing an art Discord server and I dedicated myself to doing um figure practices because one of the he was Ethan Becker. He's a YouTuber and he was an animator. I haven't seen his content recently, but like he talked about like kind of like having to get good and do these other things, and like a lot of YouTube beforehand would talk about like how to get good, how to get good at art, and they would not give you the fundamentals to get good. They'd give you these proxy ideas of like, the way you draw this is this way, and they'd give you general ideas, not necessarily like fundamentals. The fundamentals are really important. And so Ethan Becker was that breath of fresh air where he gave me that fundamentals. And I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. And so part of the passion of getting of wanting to get good, the autism grinds of wanting to get good, seeped into the fact that I'm afraid of like being a bum. I'm afraid of like not liking what I do and not being able to do anything. And so it became a like I must get good at drawing. And so I would sit there for a couple weeks just doing figure practices, and I did to the point where I stopped drawing for fun. I like it was weird because like years later I finally drew for fun instead of just figure practices, because every now and then I'd pick up do a figure practice. I never drew for fun. Years later I drew for fun, which is I think it was like a year, no, 2 years ago now. 2 years ago I finally drew for fun. I'm like, it was dog shit, absolutely, but was it fun? It was so much fun. The art looks better to me, even though I know it's bad, I know it wasn't good, but it looks so much better to me because how much fun I had with it. And so it's hard because myself pushes these things away. But I'm just hoping to like not do that same thing for streaming, not do that same thing for other things that I want to do. But who knows? Yeah, it's because like it's like I know where I know how useful I am in in certain circumstances. When it comes to friends, circumstances, socially, I have I have a better ability to do certain things. I'm still not great in some areas, but I'm better in other areas that allow me to navigate conversations. When I practice my reflecting skills, even though I'm like, obviously like I'm taking I'm taking the kind of the reins of this conversation, so I'm not really using those reflecting skills all that often. I still have that ability to do so, and it allows me to be useful in those conversations. But money wise, not really. Does it make me look better? Not really. Like I think what's hard about it is that when you get good at something and it doesn't make you look better, you're kind of like it's weird because like I'm okay with that, but there's some semblance of wanting to be acknowledged. Um, like when it comes down to working out, like I never worked out for another person. It was never because I want other people to look at me. It's never because it was like one day, my dad was like, he's pretty buff, and he did that, and I was like, oh, that seems pretty cool. And but the day I truly picked up weightlifting was I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna just lift weights, and like I grew. Like I went from like thinking I was like, I went from super skinny to like not. It's still pretty skinny, but not as skinny, and grew, and I didn't even know. So I was like, whoa, I'm much bigger. Like I wasn't constantly looking in the mirror, but nowadays I still have this want to be acknowledged. There is that semblance of low self-esteem of wanting people to say, hey, you did put work in here. You're not um a lazy bastard. You're not a bum. You're not useless. You're somebody who has value. I always want to have somebody just observe that value. And part of that value aspect is what makes it hard, because like when some skills it's like I gain value, like I must look valuable in these certain areas. And so this is why I enjoy now doing some of the skills I do now, where it's like streaming is definitely more outward, and so it's harder for me to just do like have a more internal sense of value. There's some semblance I can get from there, but I've definitely noticed the more stress coming from the fact that like it is more external. But things like the bass, like like I just practice it, and most like I'm not like all I'm doing is practicing, and it's fun practicing, not just like, oh, like practicing to get better, and I'm like the way I do with drawing, I'm just practicing ballad songs. Like it's cool to show off ballad songs. Like am I good at ballad songs? No, but like a lot of it's just like fun. Like, oh, cool, I hit a choker fan. Cool, I hit a um shortstop. I learned the shortstop kind of recently. I'm not consistent just yet, but like on the shortstop, I can inconsistently do um a choker fan. But in that sort of sense, it's a like I want to do things for myself so that like I don't just do for things for other people, but like I do want people to acknowledge like I am good at battle songs. Like it is nice, it feels nice to do that. I feel like I'm a bit more inclined to want a little bit more subconsciously, while consciously I'm able to be aware. I'm able to bring it to the conscious and be aware of how I want them to be. But mhm, mm, mhm, mhm. I think that that's a pretty decent, fair thing to say. There's a couple other things that go into it because it's very multifactorial in this sort of situation, but it is very much like that. Um, in a lot of these different circumstances, it isn't always fully like that. So when it comes to drawing, that one was super indicative of that. Of like, I got a good drawing, but then over time, like people who start drawing, like for 3 months were better than my year and a half of drawing, my year and a half of doing consistent drawing. And the thing is that like I had certain abilities over them that they didn't have. Um, they obviously like because they were drawing full pictures instead of just doing figure drawing. Like my figure drawing wasn't great, it wasn't the best, but when it comes down to the other people who I assumed were better, it was I was like, why is this person doing so much better than me? And it's because of the fact is that like I'm doing something that I don't like how like because if I want to become a figure draw artist where all I draw is figures, I was doing what I was doing perfect. But because I want to have those full pieces, but I wasn't doing that. It's like no wonder I feel like I'm doing worse because like I'm not even practicing doing what I actually want. I'm doing what I think I need because of what the job security might need. And so a lot of it is the requirements of the outside is what makes it difficult for me. So like requirements of outside or internalized requirements that I don't really care for that actually don't align with my internal state. So with art, it was like the requirements of the outside. If you want to work this job, you have to be good. That didn't align with like the fact that I just want to have for fun and like I did want to work. It'd be cool to work that for a job, but wasn't really the kind of outlet that I really want to do for when it comes to competitive games or playing games competitively. It was that same sort of deal of like I just want to play the game. I like honestly with friends. I didn't really care for playing the game by myself. And but I instead I was like I must get good at the game. I must push myself because outside expectations. Oh, if you look at the game, people look at you better. But I think the things that are a little bit different from the perspective of why I change certain things now is I think it's hard because of there are bouts of inability that I go through. So let's say Japanese, a very like I don't. It would take me forever just to have an outward appearance of being able to show other people. So it's not really other people. Like I don't need to worry about the outside, but the internal ability comes from a lot of like impatience when it comes to like ADHD. It's like I want to have it now. Like if I dedicate myself, I want to be able to like ADHD of like I want you to prove to me that if I dedicate myself for like 5 hours a day for a year, I can be where I want to be. But because you don't kind of get that, it's hard, and so I lose a lot of traction. But it also comes from the fact that I think I have a motivation problem as a physiological problem, not just a my own thought problem. It's more of like and I don't it's not I don't think it's I do. Um, the amount of anhedonic episodes, the based on anhedonia that I feel, plus the amount of anhedonic episodes I go through is super indicative of it. The fact that when I was on certain medications, it made it worse is indicative that I already have these problems. And so is what makes it hard about it is that after I abandoned something like Japanese, it's hard to get back into it because when you look at the past self and how much you dedicated to it, and then all of a sudden you fall off. Yeah, it's frustrating. And I think, yeah, yeah. What's up? I didn't even notice you joined. Yeah, I got stream mode, so I can't. Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, but you are currently in the right place. But kind of thinking about it, it's I lost train of thought. It's great. Yeah, it's funny because like it's fun to lose train of thought sometimes. Because then your mind feels a little bit clearer. You kind of get a break from the mind, and but let me think. What was I thinking? What completely just blindsided about losing train of thought. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, what's up? Yeah. Yeah. It really is, and that's kind of like I can make you complete fast. Sorry. Gay in exactly. I can come on you in a different way. Me. I can manage you in different ways. But sorry to interrupt you. Continue your stream of thought. Oh, that's the full thought. I'm gonna continue off a little bit, and then I don't want to interrupt too long. But I was technically, I had better technical. I believe I had better technical skills than him, because my understanding of shape language, my understanding of shadows, my understanding of figures and the way that they exist was better. The thing was is that because I didn't draw complete I didn't draw complete things. It was all I did was practice at that point in time, and so because all I did was practice, when I see somebody who actually gets s- like somewhere further than just practice, I would notice that like it looked a lot better because like he actually put more effort into it instead of just like I'm gonna spend um 1 minute doing a practice, then 5 minutes doing a practice, then 10 minutes doing a practice. It's like you'd go through the practices of like 5 1 minutes, and then there was three 5 minutes, and then there was like a 10 minute. And so we'd increase the time over and over to practice to say, okay, like let's get more detail in, do these other things. So because I would do those practices, I wasn't completing anything, so I wasn't spending like an hour on one thing. I was spending max 30 minutes, and wasn't really finished. It was just oh, I'm done with this practice. I can go into the next practice. I got the shape language. I got the physical looking movement down, but what I remember what he had was a bit more of the a bit more of just the fact that he was actually completing it. He was actually putting more effort. Like where like if I probably sat down and sat like 2 3 hours, I would probably look something like okay. His colors were definitely better, but I also just didn't like colors because I just drew in pen and pencil for a time. But so like, no, you're good. I'm basically done. Yeah, not necessarily. I was practicing because I was afraid of being a bum outside of high school, and so in my mind is really funny. In my mind, I envisioned I was going to be practicing art, like kind of like the whole like nerd who does thing during lunch. So I'm going to be practicing his art during my free time, and I'm going to have to be good at art so I can become an animator or an artist so I can get money off of it. And so the reason why I was so dedicated to the practice is not because I love doing the practices. The practices were fun. I definitely enjoyed some of it, but they weren't as enjoyable as completing a full art piece. And that was a problem is that like because I tricked myself into doing so many practices instead of actually have fun, um I ended up hating drawing for so long. Like genuinely I just like end up hating it. Um like every single time I think about it, it makes me so upset because of how I didn't progress the way I wanted to and how something I enjoyed turned into something I was hurt by because of my inability to be good. But yeah, but but yeah, it's a weird thing when I think about like getting good. I think there is like kind of going back to the wanting to maximize, wanting to do good, wanting to be good at something. There is just that there's that autism mindset inside of me where I just want that, but there isn't this. But like the ability to be consistent has been a struggle. Hmm. You already knew. Hmm. Yeah. Um, it's actually really funny because I actually do have an experience of doing that. Some of it was Japanese, which is kind of funny because I'm still inconsistent with that. But a lot of it was also working out. Um, when I first started working out, it was perfectly fine. But then there was like when I go through more depressive episodes, there was times where I would just stop. But I just came back to it, and it wasn't. I think it was the way my mindset was able to like I hate the when people talk about mindset, but I just thought about working out just being this is what is fun to me, and so I just did what was fun, what was engaging, and so it wasn't just it wasn't just I need to get a certain size. It was like when I didn't work out for sometimes 2 months, there's times when I would work out and like take 2 months off, and I wouldn't be like too happy with it. Sometimes it was because of like depression, school, or whatever. The most recent one was kind of because of work. Um, And so when I would take those times off, like I wouldn't have that pressure of like, oh, you can't get back into it. I just would just time to work out. And a lot of times, like I would obviously be benching less. I would be benching less. I would be repping less. Like I would do the same weights or less weight, and I'd rep less. And it like annoyed me. I was like, ah, dang it. But after a while, I was just like, who cares? Like I'm just here to work out. And this is something that's really good. Dr. K talks about it's action orientation, where it's just do the action. At a certain point in time, you are not. You can sow the seeds to success, but it does not stop the bird from eating the seed in the ground. And so the way you have to treat life. Thank you, thank you. I like to be profound. Thank you. But but kind of going back to the idea, a big thing about it is that is like I just have to do things, and like it's great to increase the likelihood of things happening. That's what you have to do if you want to get places is increase likelihood, but it'll never guarantee you places. Um, let's say we can go down streaming for me. I can edit better. I can post as many short form content as possible in as many places as possible. I can increase that likelihood. I can practice becoming more entertaining. I can do these other things. I can clip farm, but that doesn't mean just because I do those actions does not mean it guarantees me the success. Does it mean like the likelihood of me getting there is higher? Yes. In some cases it's gonna be a bit more. Some cases it's gonna be a bit less. So some like if I pick up a pencil and I go to drop it, like like most cases it's gonna fall and can hit the ground. But there might be days where it hits the chair and it lands on the chair and it didn't hit the ground or whatever. But like some cases are a little bit more luck based. But when it comes down to it, it's just being able to do the action. Because sometimes things that aren't luck based happen all the time. Things that you know if you continue doing, you're gonna do well. And sometimes you just kind of get destroyed. You kind of just lose it. So for me in school, it wasn't luck based. It was if I knew if I sat down and did this, I could do it. And sometimes you just couldn't. And so if I step away from the idea of like just the idea of like okay I'm bad at school or whatever, it's like hey I did stuff and I'm gonna try to do more stuff. But in that sort of circumstance, it's not a um it's just being able to do the actions because like and it's also learning to enjoy the actions themselves. Like this is why whenever someone asks me if they like when they're like hey I want to start working out, do you want to like tell me different things? I'm like, let's figure out what you enjoy. Do you enjoy running? Do you enjoy weightlifting? Another a big thing that people enjoy is swimming. Um, Swimming's such a big one. It's not the cheapest thing to do for a lot of people. Some like gym access, or don't have their own pool. Pools like having your own pool is expensive. Gyms can be expensive, especially gyms with pools. And so it's like finding what you enjoy and so you can continue doing the action. It's such a big thing. It's like, why would somebody like it's one big reason why I quit League of Legends is that I don't have the conscientiousness. My on the 5 factor percentile, I have the conscientiousness to hate the game, hate be upset about my own gameplay, for 1,000 hours until I get good enough to be okay with it. I couldn't do that, and so I'm gonna do what I enjoy. And if I enjoy doing what I'm doing, then I'm gonna be able to do it more and more. And so it's about being able to engage in what you enjoy. And it's about understanding how to expect what you do. So, um, and there's a problem with like I over intellectualize certain things, which is going to lead me to have a skewed point of view. So maybe I am not as aligned with the way with what I want with some of my thoughts, but I'll kind of explain that. Is that like when it comes to let's say streaming, I'm not currently studying streamers anymore, which is really funny. I did that for a time, but I'm not currently doing that right now. But I'm still trying to. I'm right now. I'm practicing my just talking, even though I don't need to practice it. I'd fucking do it anyway. I'm just trying to just continue to talk. Sometimes there's been a couple of times I've been trying to clip form this time where it's like there's things I naturally say. Like I naturally have a thirst for Darman, but like I want to do that so that maybe like I mean you can't stop love Darman. But but at all cost. This is super real. Yeah. Do you, like I have to defend myself for like like a little too schizophrenic. It's past intro to schizophrenia, but like kind of going back to like how I set my expectations is that like my actions like what am I doing currently to do better? I'm streaming right now. I'm doing clips, and so I can set my expectations to say that hey, my growth is gonna be a bit bigger than it was before, but I can't expect much. Like I think the shorts the shorts I made, the one that got 1,000 views, I was like, oh, that's so cool. But like I kind of have to realize is that like and you said this before, Darman, is like you have to understand sometimes the peaks are peaks. Sometimes you hit this point where you're just vibing and you hit somewhere higher than your average. And so I have to kind of like maintain my expectations, saying, hey, I'm not gonna get 1,000 views per. I'm not gonna probably get 1,000 views per short. I'm probably not gonna get 500 average views per short. I can expect like what the one of them had 90. I could expect probably around that, maybe 50, maybe 90. Who knows? Hmm. Yeah. When it. Mhm. Yeah, I'm not learning it. I'm not learning all those languages. Yeah. Okay, Thomas. Uh, Also, it's gonna be dumb because obviously your name's not Thomas, but that's a good reference though. Like the problem is, I just realized I gave a reference that like the thing is like your name like because Thomas is a name that people have nowadays. So, but the problem is that like I was making a reference. Um, but Thomas as in the as in no, no, Thomas the um no, Thomas. Well, I can't. Why can't I remember the position in the Bible? In the Bible, Thomas. Yeah, he always questioned Jesus. Yeah, thank you. For me not being religious, I've kind of brought up the Bible a lot. But it's it has a lot of good points. It has a lot of good. It really is just it's a solid book. Like there are not as many solid books in other places that I can kind of think about. I think that like let's say Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, that's kind of specific. A lot of it doesn't make any sense. Um, the Bhagavad Gita, a little bit more. Like I think a lot of people can gain benefit from the teaching of the Buddha. The teachings of a Buddha. Like sure you can skip some of the funnier parts, but like generally like really good insights. But yeah, like when you have like the Bible, it has a lot of good insights. Good lot of for people who are not religious, so people atheistic or maybe believe in a different religion. It gives them a lot of good kind of like it allows you to think and potentially create a positive um change in your life. But kind of going back to the topic of like how like like you've noticed like how I talked about how I went from drawing to League of Legends to like Rocket League to Halo um to Japanese to ballad songs. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. So it's that and something else. It's the impatience that I have. So there's a big thing of like when I have the motivation to want to do something, I try to do everything all at once. Instead of like I'm learning Japanese now, I have to learn Japanese, but also play an instrument, but also also flip battle songs, also draw again, also do these other things. So that's the problem that I start to do is I start to fill up all these different things. I burn myself. That's part of one thing. Another thing that I do is there is that kind of like skill floor that once you reach a certain level of your ability, the time that it takes to progress out of this like weird wall takes a lot, and it takes changing a mentality. It takes the way that you treat the action itself. You have to treat it differently. So you had yeah, yeah, yeah. That's kind of where it does lie. Like that position does lie. I think the problem that I have is that I always have this because I kind of thought about this plateau a lot. I actually used to give it my own words for it, call it the usable skill floor, kind of in a sort of sense, usable skill. So think about a lot of people in driving. Some people will drive an insane amount, but like, and then some people drive not as much. And you still look at the skill level of like, let's talk about non-professional drivers. These are not people who get paid for it. So whether these are people racing or truck drivers. These are people who just went to driving school, or even like at this point in time, like, some people were old enough to where they didn't have to go to driving school, whatever. Um, you'll notice that some of these people, like they could have been driving for decades, could have been driving consistently a lot for decades, but because of the fact that they didn't try to improve, um, they just kind of hit that skill usable like floor of like they just don't really care. And oftentimes they don't think about it. People don't think about like I need to get better at like driving because I suck ass. Like unless you're constantly getting car crashes, even then at that point in time they don't usually even try to improve at that point in time. They just like usually people step away, but like people aren't trying to improve. And so for me, I noticed that for a while, and I would kind of like think about it because like it happens in a lot of video games. Most like a lot of people in video games, they'll reach their peak within months of playing the game consistently. They will not get much better after that. Like if they play the game for like 6 months consistently, they're gonna hit their peak of skill and ability. They might improve small places where it's that may make a difference, but most people don't progress past that. So there is that sort of sense of where you do have to just kind of like buckle down and accept that your fate of like this is gonna suck. This is just gonna suck because like when you first start learning a thing, your understanding goes so heavy, like not heavy, so it goes so hard. So take like drawing. When it goes from just like when it goes from I wanted to paint a picture to its shapes and colors, shape language. So a person is a bunch of different shapes together. It's how do I visualize those shapes in my mind and how can I put those on the paper and that translation. Like before, it was just I want to draw. I want to make pretty person. I want to make pretty anime woman, and then it goes into oh, pretty anime woman is connected of shapes. So as soon as I put those shapes down, I'm able to make pretty anime women more consistently than before. And so that improvement, once you get there, like as soon as you get to that like skill floor where it's like as soon as you hit the part where you aren't learning too much more, the progression feels a lot slower. But that is kind of a part that happens. I think that you're talking about like it happens a lot, and it happens to me too, to where when it comes to some of these games, when it came to Rocket League, I would actually push past it. I would dedicate myself more. I hit gold, and then I was getting a little bit higher than gold. And then I was getting a little tired. And I was like, I'm going to push past it a little bit more. I pushed it past to a certain extent, but I didn't fully dedicate myself to it. I was still more dedicated than just accepting my position. I was still wanting to get better. Something happened in Halo is that, like, I reached my peak of, like, low plat for a time. Mainly because I just was just messing around. I was not paying the game too much of attention. I was just messing around. Hit plat, and I was like, you know what? Let me try to get more dedicated. I didn't do it for that long, but like I think it's also because it's a time sink, and it's also like understanding what you actually want. Like I wanted the praise, so why did I not stay consistent in League of Legends and some of these other things? Is I wanted the praise of being good. I wanted the praise of doing well. I want to feel useful. I want to feel good, and I quit because I don't actually care. Like when it comes to Japanese working out, and even streaming, like I haven't been consistent streaming, but I'm still like, fuck it, I'm coming back because like this is something that like I like will I get a job with this? Who fucking knows? But is this shit kind of fun? Is it fun to kind of like sit down and just yap, and then all of a sudden you look at the time, being like it's been like 1 hour 49 minutes. Yeah, it's kind of fun to be like, well, I've been sitting here when I streamed by myself to nobody. There's a time where I looked at the time, I'm like, I've been talking to myself for 3 fucking hours straight. like nobody in here, 3 hours straight, and it's kind of fun to be like I could just be background noise. I can like it's not necessarily the best thing in the world, but it's like man, it's kind of fun. Um, doing the editing. I think it's fun to be like, oh, that's a clip that I think that the clips I did. One of the four clips was about like mental disorders, and you were there for that part of the conversation where I said that like when people treat you less disabled than you really are, um, you assume that you are abled, and so you blame your you not your disabilities, and so I'm lazy, I'm whatever. So that clip actually did fairly well. It was my second best clip. It started to do better than the first best clip, but then the first best clip I think is more consistent and more funny. But it was insightful to the point where I think it was useful, and so I think it emotionally resonates with people. But in that sort of sense, like having those clips, like being able to sit down and be like, oh, I think I think that's entertaining, or I think that's insightful. I think like getting those parts and just putting them to the public is fun. So getting those actions done. But you're gonna say something? Yeah, yeah. Let me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where you get worse. Yeah, yeah. It'd be funny if I just leave the people in the the street. I think I'd just leave them in the dark. I don't know, but yeah. Yeah, part of that is sometimes when you look at past things, so like you remember when I was bowling, how when I start to try to do that spinning mentality where it's like I want to do this, sometimes when you try to do the right method, it's you do a little bit worse for a while. That's one big thing. And another thing could be the way it makes you feel internally. Is that like when I look at the Chomper from Plants vs Zombies, I look at that color, I look at the shapes, the line work. I could definitely tell, like how you said, you didn't spend as much time because it doesn't have as much detail. But I could tell the way it looks comparison to the first one. The first one has a lot more detail. The first one has a lot more effort put into it, but it in certain circumstances, it might not be technically better. In my mind, I'm thinking you got technically better, and it might just not. It doesn't feel as good though. Even though you might have gotten technically better, it doesn't. The feeling doesn't give you as good, and so maybe you don't feel as if you're progressing or you regress because it's like it just doesn't it is not where you want to be. It could be that, but there are times where we also hit peaks of your abilities. So if we think about like skill on a graph, there's gonna be times where all of a sudden you do really good one day, and then you kind of go back to your base level, and you're like, why am I not good again? Like there's a couple drawings I've done where I'm like, wow, this is a crazy figure drawing, and then like I tried to doing another one like 10 minutes later, and it was like ass, but like in comparison, um, like we will hit these certain peaks and sometimes regress, but there are times we do regress. Um, like I think that my dedication to try to be funnier, I did a little bit more in January and February of this year, and I've kind of like just like okay, I'm just gonna start just yapping away. It took a little bit too much energy, and so at this point in time, like I think I'm not as energetic as a couple of those other streams I did before, but I do feel like I did regress in that sort of sense. But thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep the praise coming. I need to keep the praise coming. Let me make sure the recording gets it so I can save it for later. You know, you clip this, or I can save the recording and fall asleep to it, so I can feel some semblance of ego coming my way. Uh, dude, ASMR. Um, but random side tangent. It's really funny because I can edit my own videos, and I don't mind looking at my face or my voice because I don't. Does it feel like me? Like I'm the one who said it, but because I don't feel like it was me. Yeah, it's so I could do it. Yeah, I never had that problem. It is an exposure thing. Yeah, absolutely. I don't have what? You based. I mean, I could be on your poll, but like based. Yeah, well that's fair, but like that's crazy. That's based. Oh yeah. Hey, I was just opened up Instagram. Y- you know, good. Thank you for sharing with the class. Exactly. W. I mean, I already like it, but continue. Huh. Masaka. Yeah. I really want to say you're a man of the night, but that's not the way. That's not. See? Based. Yeah. Like there has to be a black hole. There has to be a black hole somewhere. That's like, yeah. I've seen some of those things too. It's like, bro, are you okay? Like you're, Mr. Hands died from less, bro. But yeah, I think that do great pivot to left field because like honestly, um, this is the problem of like the fact I watched so much Dr. K. Dr. K talked about this. Fucking perfect. I get all of my information. I'm actually leeching off of Dr. K's mind. I actually have exactly. I'm here to just fill up time. I mean, you could do this other type of fucking like, but like, hey, man, eh. But true. This is where I segue into I'm starting an OnlyFans. Just kidding. I'm a male model exactly. Yeah. Because okay, I said that as a joke, and then Poe told me his like, hey, just to make because like after you texted me and Poe told me was like, hey, it's a little too much. I was like, oh, I feel so bad because like I have yeah. Yeah, not for the internet. Yeah. But because the problem is I have random thoughts that are funny in my mind that sometimes are funny when I don't give context. That was not one of those thoughts. That was not one of those funny thoughts. There's that yeah. Yeah, no, I should have now I'm more of aware of that. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just not say things like that. Um, mhm. People do that. Yeah. Yeah. The server. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's fair. Because that is a, I because after you kind of said like, hey, that's not very cool. I kind of like thought to myself, and like you're not wrong there. I think that especially owning it, like when you're running a Discord server with people who are very very connected, and I've been a part of Discord servers. They're not as connected. I've been a part of them, and you definitely see it come up. You definitely see predators just and whether or not it's people who are sometimes a predator on minors, sometimes they're just trying to abuse people emotionally, and it's hard because like, I think the problem that I had with the comment was I wasn't very aware, and like if someone like I find it very seriously for those circumstances, but when it came to the joke, I was not thinking about the serious nature behind it. I was just kind of like putting it past that, but now I kind of like, hey, I have to realize that like that there are some yeah. You know yeah, but I could spread something else vicious. But sorry, continue. But continue. Sorry for interrupting. That yeah, yeah, and yeah, which Yeah, it's you have to be vigilant on other people. Is that like even though you can trust people, even people you meet in person, you can trust them to a certain extent, but you don't know what they might be willing to do to kind of put you in those circumstances. And that's kind of one of the things that like I didn't think about before sending that. I like again, dumb. You're just like, hey, this is kind of funny. Thank you, appreciate it. But but in that sort of sense, it's like a like there are people, and this is what really is hard when I see people on the internet. They're willing to cannibalize people, and like you said, like sometimes like you're good friends with somebody, all of a sudden, or like they're just like on a whim, just like all right, I'm gonna change my mind on you. And it's like what? Like we were just buddy. We were really good friends, and all of a sudden now I'm a villain, or now you hate me, or it's hard because that happens in real life, but on the internet it's so much worse because like I said, if someone wants to spread a lie, um, and it's really easy. And the thing is that like it's really easy because there is this ability to kind of like because when somebody's want to build up that lie, they can use they can use retroactive evidence to say, oh, they did this, they did this, even though it means nothing. Like if I lie about yeah, let's say if I make this is not a negative lie, but like you're actually a 250 IQ person, and every single thing that you do is to make sure that you are manipulating a population, or whatever. The thing is, I can start saying certain things, and I can start showing little small things, even little evidence. I can explain away with my own sort of sense of like, okay, yeah, I actually said this. But it's like it's people can explain away those certain circumstances away, and so internet's kind of it's a harsh place. It's a definitely harsh place, and like how we talked about with Dream as well as like how you react. And the problem with Dream is how he reacts is he has to like some people have to accept the fact that they will lose friends, but it's hard when, like how you said, these people are your friends. These aren't people who are viewers, who some of them, like, where if you lose some of them, it's like an okay thing. These are people who, like, you've dedicated some of your emotional energy towards. These are people who you understand some of their stories to. And losing that sense of friendship um is not worth the that fight. Like when it comes to viewers, like one of the biggest things is that like if you have 10,000 viewers and you lose 5,000, maybe 3,000 come, maybe 3,000 different people come back and you go back to like 8,000 or whatever. But like as a circumstance, it's like you can't tank allegations the same way when it's personal friends, um, especially if they choose to not to believe you. But like you said, like when you're a man on, because you're a man on the internet, I'm a man on the internet. We're both individuals. We could have our own nefarious or positive things that we don't really see, and so we can't really, just like it's good to trust, and trusting is a very important feature of being human. But it's also where it can get us in trouble. But yeah, Dream really dealt with it poorly. His responses on Twitter were really bad. To the point of where when he made his yeah, what's up? It is. Yeah. It- I know I know. Yeah, but you're not wrong. It is it is so stupid. Cause like you get these people like guys like I fucked up, and then like somebody else in the comments is like, yeah, you did, dipshit, and like they get mad at that. It's like fucking expect that. Like when you like it's really funny because like going to Twitter, if you had a controversy, going to Reddit if you had a normal like political opinion, stupidest thing in the world. Like just don't like these places are like not kind of shitting on Reddit, but like some places are good, but a lot of times like some people are way more. You're gonna see the extreme people act in extreme ways, who is willing to leave a comment on somebody who's explaining certain things? A lot of people who feel heavy about it. And oftentimes, feeling anger is so much easier than feeling positive, especially when you do something fucking stupid. So, like, if somebody is like, guys, I shit on his bed, and I didn't clean up, but um, I really want to follow that up, but I'm gonna leave it the way it is. But fix it in post. Um, but when it comes down to it, it's like if I say that, how many people are gonna be like, oh, like it's okay. Like there's some people who are gonna do that, be like, oh, it's fine. You fucking deserved it, even though like that person might be a fucking saint. Like I could go shit on Jesus's bed, and some people are like he deserved it. Like, damn. Um, but there's going to be a lot more people who are willing to be angry, which is really weird. Where it's like even that's angry. They're angry at somebody else. They're going to be angry at me, or they're going to be angry at the person who I hurt, and so they're willing just to be angry, instead of just being like, hey, people mess up. There's not a lot of people who get popular being like, hey, sometimes we fuck up. Apologize. Let's move on. People are gonna be like, it's his fucking fault for doing X Y Z, and then other people are like, you're fucking stupid, and it's like, but that's just the way it works on the internet, which is kind of funny. This is where I'm waiting for the hate campaign against me, so that I can prove myself to be above and beyond, and just not give a shit, and see how that where that lies. I'm so much better, princess. 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 Where are you, princess? Slaps his feet. Dude. Oh, princess. Dude, he does it with such vigor and strength. It's scary. Yes. Dude, it is crazy to see when he does that. It's like, it's funny when he was like, there's like been a couple times where you could tell he breaks character for a second because how dumb what he says is funny. Like, he's just like, and then he goes back into it. Hmm. Yeah, I can keep people up if you know what I mean. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining. But you, me, and nobody in either Twitch or YouTube. I'm pretty sure there's nobody there. No. Oh yeah, there's nobody there. But I don't know. Not just you, me, in the recording. No. Which is really weird. I think it's really funny because like I talk about way more meta things than a lot of other people are willing to talk about at this current moment. Maybe in the future, if I get big, maybe I stop talking about these meta situations as much. Yeah, I just think that like it's just because like even the comment like that I made, last the last stream, how I was joking about like, hey, offline TV, if you like this guy, I fucking love this guy. If you hate this guy's a rat bastard. Like, that. Yeah, I'm willing just to. Are you talking about burnt peanut? I don't. It's really funny. I made a comment about burnt peanut. I don't know much about that guy. But like I'm willing to say like, hey, like he wasn't a, from what I understand, he didn't he didn't go past the boundaries of what I'm willing to deal with. As if somebody like did certain things, I wouldn't be able to deal with them. Be like, hey, no, get the fuck away from me. Like you're not a good person. But when it comes down to like other things, it's like, hey, like I'm willing to. I don't care enough about what the action was done. I think that I could be disappointed. Like theoretically, if I was Saikuna's friend, I could be disappointed in that sort of circumstance. But like I'm willing to talk about it, how like, hey, if it gets me, I'm not gonna say it's Machiavellian because I wouldn't say I'm Machiavellian in this sort of circumstance. If I was, I'd be doing other things. I'm willing to say, hey, like on a joke basis, I love that guy. Genuinely, I'm pretty neutral. I used to really enjoy that guy. Now because I haven't watched it as much, even before the whole thing came out, I don't really give a shit. Like, I think that like I would love to see people improve. I would love to see people get their life into a place where they want to be in control. But like, other than that, I'm like, hey, I don't like I would want to. I prioritize my position with other people, and I will not actually demean somebody. If somebody was like, "Hey, you gotta shit on this person," like if somebody came up to me and said, "You gotta shit on Darman so that you can get popular," I'd be like, "No, I'm not gonna fucking do that." Like, like, like some levels, like let's say Kuna, like me, if someone told me, "Hey, if you actually want to be a friend, fucking delete that part of the VOD, delete what you're talking about now. Just don't talk about him." I'd be like, "Fuck it, who cares?" Like if someone told me to talk shit about him, maybe make a joke, but I'm not gonna genuinely do that. I just like I'm willing to say that like, hey, I would just not talk anything about it. Or just be like, hey, I won't talk about it. I won't bring it up. I won't try to try to force people with it. But like I'm willing to put growth, put connections that put me in a network of growth higher than the people. But like people don't accept that, which I think is really funny. There was which reminds me of this guy on YouTube. I'm not sure if it was a griff or if he was genuinely, but like he was talking about like manipulating people and because like everyone usually is like, don't talk about those things. It's like I'm definitely not as socio higher on the sociopathy scale as that conversation. Because I wouldn't say I don't know how potentially sociopathic he is, but the conversation he had, I don't display that level of sociopathy. I don't really feel like I'm not like willing to do some of the things like that in that sort of conversation, but. You know, it's weird because like I have very like the conversation I'm having now is a conversation I'm willing to have off of stream and conversations I probably had off of stream before, but I'm having on stream, so it feels weird because it's like I definitely notice of like if people see this like what are they gonna think about it? But I'm also a little worried it's not entertaining, but who fucking cares? Like if I want to become more entertaining, I just fucking get in that grind set. But like I don't mind. Continue to fucking yap aways. Continue to but yeah, in that sort of sense, it's a really weird one. But I think it's just a lot of people learn to separate themselves from their content because like we touched on this a little bit before about like there is some level of I forget if it was you and me. I've talked so fucking much I forget who I said this to, but like there's some level of having to bring up your personality, bring up some part of you. You don't want to be fake, but you want to bring up some part of you that is entertaining. And to that level, if you're able to do that, you might sacrifice some things. Like, hey, maybe this style of conversation is actually not indicative of me becoming popular. While I do have fun and engage with it, I'm willing to sacrifice having this level of fun for maybe something I also find fun, but more likely to get me views, whatever. But I don't know. So it's a weird one. It's a really weird one. Yeah, yeah, it is a thing. I'm in a weird position. I think it's funny because we talked about like we transitioned from ranked games to just random like yap, and I think it's like fun. But when I kind of think about even streaming and content like that, it's weird to know like where am I gonna progress? Like it's kind of like it's not Digimon. Like, did you ever play? But let me think. It's kind of like when you see how people progress. I don't know the fucking game. It's an IO game because Digimon was kind of a funny one, but I forget if you can have different evolutions. I don't really play Digimon. But like there was an IO game. It was like you were a shape and you shoot. And then you can get more experience, and then you can start evolving into different things. It's like I don't know how, like if like where I would evolve to. Yeah. I think it's something like that. And so like I don't know where I would evolve to when it comes to streaming content. Like stop talking about this and focus on the grind set. I think what's really weird is that like take two streamers I've been watching a lot. Crelly, she just says some unhinged shit, she has fun, says things whatever. different topic of conversation than I do. Maybe she would have the same conversations I would have, but she adapted it out of her so that she could be more entertaining. Maybe things like that happen. Um, Another person is Aqua, Aqua VTuber. She very much is a YouTube grind set. She in a video she made a joke about like, oh, like once you start streaming more and more, like do you just start saying random shit? And she says some unhinged fucking shit, like, but like in that sort of sense, it's like do I because I think that like do I evolve to where it's like I'm more entertaining? Who fucking knows? Do I stay this way? Because I think the problem is like I think it might have been before you joined when I was talking about like my current style of talking. When I was rewatching the VODs for editing, I noticed a lot of Destiny style conversation I have. A lot of the way he circles around points, the way he brings up brings up points. I definitely noticed some little bit Dr. K, not too much Michael Reeds, but a little bit. Um, and some of what's up? Interesting. What do you mean by that? I mean, dude, let's start the beef. I need the views. Mhm. Yeah, I do that padding as a thing because I know how much I know and how much I might not know, and so I do that padding to save myself. Um, dude. No, no, no. You're not wrong, dude. Dude, I fence it. This one big thing is that like I'm willing to sit in that position, and you're not wrong there. This is absolutely not wrong. And the reason why I do that over and over and over again, there is some serious nature to like, yeah, like I'm not willing just to, fucking say it how I feel it. I have to say I have to say, oh, this, and this added to it, so that I get in less trouble or potentially get in less trouble. But I picked up a little bit. So what's really weird about it is Dr. K does it a little bit. I overdo it. I so sometimes when he talks about topics he doesn't fully understand, he'll say things like that. Even topics he does understand, but he's willing to um give grace to the idea that maybe he's wrong. I do that to the point of where because the thing is that like I probably my guess is my brain just fucking runs more. I again have severe ADHD. So at a certain point in time, it probably is doing that cycle of thought way more than Dr. K has ever done. Because of the fact that like I see it, I see how it's positive. I see how that's a mentality I want to go down, how like I think it protects me and I continue to do it. But I just do it much more because my brain pops up with it much more than other people do. He could also think about it more. This is the problem. I'm doing it again, but he could probably think about it more and just not do it because he knows the boundaries of his effectiveness in conversation. But who fucking knows? See, again, I did it. Dude, fucking crazy. No, no, I've been. Oh, the problem is I've been caught in this for far too long. Like I've been doing this whole the game like cat and mouse of like observing my observations of how I try to protect myself, and like I do this to a lot of other people where it's like I will say sometimes you can say certain things, and that's so you can manipulate a population. So like saying like, hey. I'm naturally worse at video games. I say that because I observe myself being naturally worse at video games. What that also does is I observe that if I tell somebody I'm naturally worse at video games, they don't expect it of me, and so I can feel better when maybe I do better than they expect. Or what's up? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hello, new chatter. That's crazy. There's actually somebody here from Twitch. Hello, Zara Ben 39. But Um, what? Maybe they're real. It's weird because like I've had a couple of there's obviously like there's bots being like, hey, do you want AI? I'm like, do you want bots? I'm like, I don't want bots. I don't want to buy bots. And it's weird because like every single time somebody comes in chat, I see that. I'm doing pretty good. Um, yeah. Do not dox my broke nature. What the fuck does that even mean? What the fuck does that mean, Kobe Bryant? I have smooth brain. Brain big smooth. Brain only smooth. But also if this person is not an artist trying to get, I'm not sure if you've ever streamed and ever noticed. But the day has been going good so far. But like if this person is actually not somebody trying to get people to pay for art, which is again it's not a bad thing. It's just more of like when you stream you're a smaller content creator, and a lot of people come in trying to advertise their art, which is again not a bad thing. I think being on the grind is good. It's funny because like if you aren't doing that, then it's like it feels like out of left field. But yeah, see, I was doing it again, Darman. I was protecting the way other people feel just so that like it allows for conversation. All time favorite game. Sorry, go ahead, Darman. Like, dude, I'm willing to step on other things if you know what I mean. But but all time favorite game. I would say Fallout New Vegas. Oh no, or Minecraft. It's hard. What's up, Darman? Hey, but dude, I love A Biotic Factor. I love A Biotic Factor, but Minecraft is my childhood. Fallout is so big to me. A Biotic Factor, it's up there. It's definitely one of my favorite ones, but it's hard. It's hard for me to choose between Fallout New Vegas and A Biotic Factor, or in Minecraft. A Biotic Factor again is up there, but dude, I wish I could go back to playing the Xbox 360 Minecraft and just do fucking nothing for hours. Story games are good. A lot of single player games are always fun, but that's a Hogwarts Legacy and also Disney Dreamlight Valley. Yeah, a good story game, which is really funny because it's not easy to get through, is the Yakuza series. Um, those games go fucking ham when it comes to story. There's obviously a lot of gameplay, but like holy shit, I fucking love that story. Even though it's dumb as shit known to man. Like it's like, oh yeah, you go from fighting bear to like, all right, we're doing an idol dancing show. We're trying to be number one. How are the streams going on? So far they've been not bad. I generally have like a kind of a topic and I go off topic a lot and try to go back on topic. But they've been going pretty well. I start to actually clip my content and get, short form content views on YouTube. But no, I don't stream every day. I was planning on trying to do a little more streaming, but I don't really stream every day. I stream pretty inconsistent, but I'm hoping to try to be more consistent now. But because I'm doing my own editing, it's pretty sloppy editing, but I'm still doing it my own. It's gonna take a little while, so some of the time has to go to that. But also, do you sell magic cards as a side hobby, or is it just a? Oh, okay, so you can continue to feed into it. Yeah, that's fair. A lot of people do that with battle songs. Is it so they can get new battle songs? They'll they'll sell their old battle songs, the ones they don't care about as much. But I do notice that also with Magic, where a lot of people who dedicate themselves to a hobby is so expensive that they can't just like keep all their things. Do I play any other games? Yeah. Yeah, you want to give them like a good deal. Yeah. Yeah, the homie discount kind of goes hard because like I think that selling at a profit is still good. It is a good way to buy food. Mhm. Mm. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, they're willing to give you more, and like sometimes when you buy the card when it's like $5 and then it shoots up to that, it's definitely a benefit to you. Oh yeah, yeah. Mm. Also, yeah. Also, quick thing to the chatter. I'm gonna answer your quick question. I'm gonna just let Darwin continue yapping away. Oh, okay, that's into okay, yeah, yeah. That is an interesting one. Yeah, because especially that the ward every single time you have a creature about it. Yeah, but when you have a creature that's ward, you can tell it's strong, Igra. But and then I tend to notice, especially the way that sounds. It sounds like it's devastating. But let me answer the chatting question. I'm from the old state of New Mexico. Classic shithole. There's a lot of shithole states. This is one of them. I fucking love it. But conversation does not. I do not know where to take it because I think about magic. But like, I don't know. I'm just gonna just start yapping away. I yeah. I think I could take a rest. I think I'm still I still have the capabilities to yap away. But nice to meet you as well, Chatter. But I still have the capabilities to yap away. Do I think it's gonna be a positive thing to continue yapping away? Not necessarily. I think it gives me a ability to build up endurance. But I don't have like the things I have to do tomorrow is I'm meeting up with a friend to eat some dinner. Haven't talked to him in a while. He's in the military, and so kind of gets a day off. But do I stream any other games besides this one? Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's I'm a little upset about that one. Not upset. Um, yeah, no, it's. Do you stream any other games other than this one? Which is weird because I've had somebody when I was playing Gunfire Reborn who said that line, and because I was obviously playing a game during that time, but like in that circumstance, was really weird about it was the fact that I actually was like they weren't trying to advertise anything. We're just sitting here playing. I was sitting here playing the game. It was just asking. It was one chatter, me, one chatter, and just playing game. It was funny because before that I was like 3 hours straight of just straight fucking yapping too. But I don't know. I don't know what to these this semblance of like trying to get the art. Yeah, no, it's a bot. It's a bot. Getting the nice. I had a feeling I'm too hopeful, Darman. I'm too hopeful. I think the yeah. Yeah. Oh man, it would take time real people, yeah. Because it kind of goes back to like how I tried to defend myself in the sort of circumstances. Um, how I tried to like defend my thoughts, defend my ideas, and be like, oh, I might know about this, or like I don't really know. Because it's not a bad thing to do. I just think I do it so much to the point where I do it to other people. I try to do it to other people where it's like I'm trying to give people the benefit of the doubt. Because after it happened to me the second time, they said I am not a bot. Um, okay. Uh, okay. Okay. If you're not a bot, all right, all right. Why are you sitting one? I don't fucking know who the president of 1993 is. Uh, also a bot could do that. Uh, but like I guess you know what this is gonna be defending. Why do you choose to come to this stream? I'm saying fucking nothing, yapping away, kind of like a schizophrenic. I at least have somebody here this time to like talk to back to me. But normally I sit here like a schizophrenic, just talking to myself for like 3 hours. Yeah, just honestly I do rock a lot. I think the problem is that, like my mic because it's a dynamic mic. I can't do that as much. And I'm really on that early onset schizophrenia. Flash and exhausted. You okay? Okay. I use exhaust. I actually probably use barrier a little bit more. No, I use barrier. I use barrier. I use barrier. I use barrier ignite. I use barrier ignite. I use this rat bastard. This rat bad. I use barrier ignite. I'll defend my thoughts and beliefs. I use barrier and ignite more often. Exhaust when I'm playing support Yumi. All right. Can't fucking leave me like this. I don't. It's like, what, is he gonna come back? Is he gonna come back? He did come back. Holy shit. Okay, you weren't here. You might have been watching the stream. You weren't here. I was saying, you fucking rat bastard. Well, cause like you don't go flash. You don't go flash. You go ignite exhaust. Super fucking easy. I will say people use exhaust like a fucking stupid. Sometimes they're gonna get the kill to use exhaust. Sometimes they're not gonna get the kill in the exhaust and be like, why the fuck are you getting exhaust on me this? Sometimes it says some people, but like oftentimes when I see people use exhaust, it's either when the kill is not gonna be able to be confirmed at all, or when the kill is already confirmed and you're just wasting a sum. I'm getting rage baited. I also make stream designs. Good for you, but not being a bot. It's perfectly fine. I'm gonna use the backing that the Darman has for me and saying, hey, I don't have the fucking disposable income to buy anything. I'm not interested currently. My I yeah. Like if you're here to chill, we could chill. Yeah, I'll do. It's really funny. I think my Twitch is is my Twitch profile art. It is. It's no, it's the bird from what is it? My Hero Academia. Crazy. That was years ago actually. That's weird to think about how that's an old drawing. But I want to change it because I don't really watch My Hero Academia, but but man, yeah. Don't do it. Don't don't do because the problem is that like when you build a modern deck and it's not good, they're like building a not good commander deck gives you more availability. Building a not good modern deck just leaves you to like play people who don't play the game, who play the game inoptimally, or who are just gonna shit on you. That happens a lot. Like, and also poison. Fuck poison. Again, poison is a bit stronger in commander when it's 40 health instead of 20. So you're having to do a fourth of the damage of poison instead of half. So I think that you know what? Yeah, well, I'm trying to think. Making a poison deck in modern, maybe. If you told me you made an Atraxa poison deck in Commander, you'd be unbelievably unforgivable. But like, it really is. I don't like when I see that Ediatric has Atraxa as the top commander. I'm like commanders are fun. Are Yishrol? Yishrol is a great commander. Oh, is she? Let me. She might be. Actually, I don't feel like fucking looking it up. I don't care. But like, she might be. But like genuinely, like Yishtrola is a good one because Jimmy, can we get a fact check? Because like Yishtrola has more availability. You can self damage. You can do these other things. It's a little bit easier to do those. It has a little bit more creativity. But like things like the Ur Dragon, like you just play fucking dragons. Like why is this shit so popular? Krenko is obviously not unique. You just create fucking goblins. Goblin these nuts. But like instead, like I think it's fun to create goblins. What the goblin these nuts? Good. Damn it. Dude, I can't lose you. I can't go schizophrenic. I can't. No, I don't mind. If you need to go to bed, you can go to bed. It's getting pretty late for you. It is that time, and you. It sounds like you had plans with your wife. Oh, okay. Because tomorrow you get off. Okay, but I mean plans with your wife in the morning. Because like, yeah, yeah. It's just because tomorrow's more or today is Memorial Day, so true. That's what I'm saying. It ain't fucking tomorrow. It's fucking today. Ain't fucking tomorrow just yet. Fuck yeah. Absolutely. Monday does not happen until I fucking wake up. I don't care if I wake up on fucking Tuesday. It's not Monday yet. True. Thank you. Thank you. What is his name? Fucking, you didn't actually make a full comment. What he likes lasagna as a cat. Garfield. Thank you, fucking Garfield. Dude, dude, dude. Okay. That's an unfair argument to make. I lose it all the time. I could be perfectly conscious. I've said words, I'm a sentence before, and I forget. But I've said words a sentence before and just completely forgotten of it. I just like woke up the one day. I just tend to lose track of my mind goes too quick that like it's not able to always catch on ideas very well. Happens all the time. I do it a lot. Good night. I'll stream for a little bit. Maybe I don't fucking know. Maybe I end stream. It has been 2 hours and 42 minutes. This is gonna be a pain in the ass to edit, but you fuck. I do have a lot to chop through. A lot of it is kind of probably not that entertaining, but I think Bing bong. Yeah, yeah, I think you know what? If you're still watching, I think I'm willing to dip out here pretty soon. I'm getting a little bit a little tired, a little bit eepies. Um, yeah, so I'm just gonna say my good night to the potential VOD watchers, aka probably not very many people are gonna ever really do that, but I don't fucking mind. It's just a practice I'm willing to put in place. But I'm gonna go to bed. Everyone who might watch this, Darman, you have a good night. I'm gonna have a good night. Um, just take some time to chill, maybe watching YouTube before I go to bed. And Thanks for talking with me, Darman, and thanks if anyone actually watches this. It's pretty cool to fucking yap and do things I enjoy, like yapping. Like, hey, I won't say it pisses off people, but sometimes it's not an appropriate time or place, and when you're especially in a big group of people, and so it's nice to be able to like even come here to like one or two people, and I get to yap, so it's enjoyable. I'll be going. Let me open up OBS and good night.